Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from A Homemaker's Life, and today I'm going to cover a hot topic. And I have an entire list of, things that I want to cover eventually. And one of the topics that really stood out to me is D.A.R.E. Is it good or bad? There's a lot of controversy over whether D.A.R.E. is something that needs to be gone over in schools or if is something that should just be dropped. I think D.A.R.E. is an amazing thing for students to be learning as early as elementary school, because of the fact that if they're going to do drugs, they're going to do drugs. Regardless of what you have taught them, regardless of, it doesn't really have to do with anything about them teaching about it. Them teaching the students about drugs is not going to make them want to go out and get them or get high. If anything, I think it educates them on the effects that it can have, on how it can change someone's life, and how it can ruin someone's life. I do think with D.A.R.E. they do need to go a little bit more in depth with it, and it does not just need to be for elementary age students. I believe it should be something that is taught all the way through high school. And from what I can gather, at least around here where I live, D.A.R.E. is only involved in the elementary schools, and I think that if it was in the high schools with more in-depth information than what the elementary school children are taught, I think maybe it would turn students and teens against drugs more than just what they are taught. For instance, at the high school and middle school years, I believe they should have someone that has, a recovering addict, or not a recovering, but a recovered addict that can, tell their story from what they used to be to, the path that they went down that got them into drugs, how they became addicted, how it ruined their life, and how they struggle now, instead of just telling them, okay, meth does this and it's a drug, it's bad. And that's pretty much all D.A.R.E. does right now, because I honestly believe if it was more in depth with the older children and teens and preteens, if they were taught about D.A.R.E. as well, instead of just, like I said, the elementary school kids, then maybe we wouldn't have such a drug problem. Now granted, there are going to be the kids that just don't care and they're going to go out and do it anyways. But I think it would help, because you hear all these horror stories about drugs. You hear all these horror stories about what it does, what it can do. But they don't know anybody really that has, been through all sorts of stuff. So I think, a real account from someone that has been there and done that and suffered, and I think that's what the students need. Someone to tell them the truth, someone to be honest with them. Now, yes, in the elementary age children, yes, give them the basics. Teach them, don't take any medication that, your parents don't give you. If you find medication, don't take it. If you find, alcohol, don't drink it. It's not good for you. Teach the elementary age kids that, because that is what they need. But teach the, the preteens and teenagers in middle and high schools, teach them the more in-depth stuff. Teach them the consequences. Teach them the reality of it all. And I think, maybe if they were taught that, we wouldn't have the problem that we have with drugs in our nation. And maybe we wouldn't have so many teenagers getting hooked on drugs and having problems with addictions and then dying from overdoses. Maybe if they're educated on the actual drugs, and I mean truly educated on the drugs, then maybe they will steer clear of them. And because You know, I know plenty of people that were great kids, in school. They were great kids, some of the coolest kids in school, this, that, and the other. But we were told, oh yeah, meth, it's one of those that if you get hooked on it one time, you're hooked. But see, that was just the D.A.R.E officer telling us that, or a teacher, or something like that. But we didn't hear it from an actual previous meth addict. And now that I actually know some previous meth addicts, some recovered addicts, I can see where I can understand their story better than just hearing it from somebody that's never been there. I believe them more. And I know that a few of the kids that I went to school with that are hooked on meth now, that they didn't believe that. No, I can. They're like, no, I can smoke meth, I can shoot up meth, I can do whatever and not be hooked. And then here they are now, hooked on meth. And they didn't believe everything that they were told. And I believe if it came from someone that has been there and done that they would be more willing to believe, and it would save our younger generations. But that is my thoughts on the D.A.R.E situation and whether it's good or bad. I believe it's good, but I believe that we need to expand D.A.R.E to not just elementary school kids, but to all ages of kids. Even have D.A.R.E in colleges, because colleges was one of the biggest places that drugs happen. Don't just have a police officer go in there and say, okay, drugs on campus and this, that, and the other is not allowed, and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, they know that. They're going to break those rules anyway. Educate them. Have a seminar at the beginning of every semester or at the beginning of every year at a university or college that is required for them to go to or sit in on, and show the effects of it. Show them the statistics of it. But thanks for tuning in. Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye.